Yeah.
This is so funny.
Oh. All right. Oh, I didn't mean for it to stop
Turn it
like
down.
that. It seemed like
fade it out.
I thought I did. I
Bad
must have hit a
content.
button. I'm sorry.
It's fine. No, we don't need to hear
No,
it
it's
now.
not okay.
It
It's
is
not
okay.
okay.
It is okay.
It is okay that we don't have to listen.
I spent an entire 10 minutes of my life on that damn thing.
I don't know, you were doing it all.
Doing it
Crack
all
cocaine.
for the love of the game.
Why is it so slow today?
My phone, I just got a new
Thor's
phone,
weapon.
and it is the dumbest phone ever. Here's what the problem is, though, I think.
We got to get started on this, man.
We will.
We already played this out.
I understand.
We're in RoboCop
I
now.
understand. But when I took my when I took the SIM card out to put my SIM card in, which is basically how you switch phones, right?
Yeah.
The one that I took out of here had a big 5G on the SIM card that I took out.
Yeah.
And then I put my presumably 4G into my phone. So I'm thinking the reason why my phone is such an idiot
Oh, yeah.
is because my phone is a 5G phone with a 4G SIM card.
Don't get the 5G. That's how they
I
get
didn't
into
know
your
it was a
brain.
5G.
That's how the government gets in your brain, Tyler.
Well, we've discussed this before. We all carry around tracking devices constantly. So,
A literal supercomputer in your pocket.
I mean, so
Yeah.
the vaccines are
Speaking
obviously.
speaking of supercomputers, let's talk about the RoboCop. The
Let's do
pinnacle
this.
of cybernetics. So this week,
Nice segue.
we thank you.
Well, I had to turn it around because you were talking about your goddamn phone, you son of a bitch.
Nobody cares about your phone.
Nobody cares about your phone. It's Tyler.
Wow.
'Kay.
Everything's a song.
I know.
This
I'm
week
sorry.
we were originally going to do Prime Directives, but we changed it up. And it was kind of my decision last minute. So if you did actually follow along and did homework on Prime Directives, I do
Sorry.
apologize.
Sorry.
But we decided to change it up and do RoboCop Alpha Commando, which is, believe it or not, the second RoboCop animated show. Because we knew about one that came
Can I
out
just
in
pull
the
it
80s.
up so we can play the theme song on?
No.
here?
I can put it in later because
It's really
I
bad.
want to kind of mix it in with RoboCopalooza because that is going to be the most.
It's close, isn't it?
RoboCop. Yeah,
RoboCop.
I mean, yeah. You know what?
Turning into a car.
You could
Now he's got roller
good
skates.
idea. Pull it up because I
Okay.
think you have it on your.
I do.
You were watching on your phone.
I was watching on my phone, yep.
Yeah,
This is
well,
my
that's the
text.
thing too. It was easy. Prime Directives is on Amazon Prime,
Mhm.
but it's also Alpha Commando is like some guy a couple years ago, like
Some gay.
uploaded it to YouTube. The whole because there's like 40 episodes of this show, which is shocking. But it also isn't that shocking because when you watch this show, it feels like the people that wrote this show didn't know what RoboCop was or weren't intentionally writing a RoboCop show.
Yeah. Is that too loud?
Let's turn your mic down a little bit. Oh. There you go. That's good, though.
Oh, and the open is terrible.
Oh, my gosh. All the robots and shit. Well, and it takes a while to get to the RoboCop part. It's like a build. It's a build. RoboCop. RoboCop. Palooza.
And then, okay, one thing that RoboCop is not.
They say that.
One, yeah,
That is another
that's-
reason
that's
I don't.
the theme song.
Tyler,
What?
that is another reason I think that show was not made to be a RoboCop show because clearly that sounds like that was a different song, and then they were just like, just fucking throw RoboCop on top of some orchestral voices being like, RoboCop.
They spent about as much time on that theme song as I did on our sounder.
Literally, was you making this for the pod? Making that for the pod? Almost beat for beat, even the RoboCop parts. But
At no point is RoboCop going to stop a speeding train
here's a
like Hulk
Here's a confession.
or Spider-Man. Yeah.
Originally, we were going to do a different episode called RoboPop,
Oh,
and I had started watching.
what's the name of the episode that we watched? Do you
Garden
know?
of Evil? And episode 21.
Oh,
Uh,
so towards the end of the season.
episode 10 was the one originally I was going to do, but then Garden of Evil just had a better name to me, and I was like, I want to watch that. So I watched some of the episodes. I've seen a couple scenes of each episode, right? And I remember because I mistakenly thought that would be a good idea for me to watch it on my lunch break. Just have my headphones in. And there are parts where my coworkers overhear me because I go, "What?" like that really loud. Because I can't tell you because I think it'd ruin that episode if we ever do it sometime. But I can tell you this: there are parts of that episode I was like, "This isn't bad. This is interesting." And then RoboCop talks, and then I'm like, "Whoop!" Well, there it went. And anyway, so let's get into it. Yes, we are talking.
I'll say this:
episode 21, Garden of Evil.
When I was watching this episode, at many points during this episode, did I go, "What?"
Yeah. Well, and I told you I was excited.
How many different accessories did he have on his hands? He had a
dude
umbrella come out of the top of his head at one point.
By the way, pizza time for
It's
episode 21.
been out for 30.
Garden of Evil.
Nobody watches it.
This came out like 97.
Yeah.
So
it's terrible.
It's so bad. So
there's like a superhuman villain. Like what the fuck?
No, that's the thing. That's the thing. In the other episode that I watched, he's fighting this giant bug thing, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
At one point, he just pulls out bug spray and sprays the bug, and I'm like, no way. And then we find out it was a kid daydreaming, so I kind of was like, oh, I guess it's not that crazy.
What about the part where they're...
But then this shit, it gets crazier. So here's some of my notes.
Okay.
First off, why is RoboCop in Louisiana? Because this is taking...
Yeah.
This whole episode takes place outside of Detroit, and it's in the swamps of Louisiana.
Does it say that they're in the swamps of Louisiana, or they just assume? To
be fair, we are episode 21, so maybe at some point early. By the way, this show starts with a 3-part pilot episode, 3 parts. But I think that they might have explained in earlier episodes that they're a federal.
They're the Alpha Commando
force now, because she mentions federal. They're a federal agency in this episode.
He has a partner named Miner.
So I'm imagining at some point, even to further remove this thing to show even further that this was never supposed to be a RoboCop show, is the fact that we're not even in Detroit. We're going to Louisiana. We're going all over the place. So that's the first note I have. Like, what? Okay, we're just doing this episode.
No swamps in Detroit.
There's some sort of situation where they're like, hey, man, we got to send in the fucking mechanized cyber cop to deal with this.
In the swamp where he'll sink.
He steps on one little bit of moss. He's done.
Just gone. Just gone.
Or how wet can...
When the bulldozer comes at him.
How wet...
How is he not...
With all of his components, how wet can he get?
He gets wet during one episode. The villain fucking gets the sprinkler.
This episode...
And and it's like, you're a multi-billion-dollar piece of equipment, and you're getting fucked up by some water.
So yeah, this is like this character is like a mashup of the
Tick.
Well, it's like Poison Ivy, Swamp Thing. Somebody said it looked like another character that's in DC. The
Floronic Man.
Fragmented Man.
Floronic Man.
He looks like he looks
guy.
like a blend of those.
That guy
3.
scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid, man. Holy shit!
Doesn't he? He looks like a combination of those 3.
Why did my parents buy me Swamp Thing comic books when I was little?
Because I didn't know they were horror.
I guess.
I'm assuming. But anyway,
Carter knew. God damn it!
And his name, by the way, is Marabou Mulch, literally named Mulch, which I thought was just superb. And this is what makes me laugh about this show.
His last name is Mulch, and he turns into a...
I truthfully say, and I'll probably say this when we watch the original animated series, I truthfully think if you had the same, and it's the same, you could say that about that other show we watched last week, if you still had the ultra violence and edge of that first RoboCop movie, you could make it work as an adult animation. You can absolutely, like, Adult Swim would eat that up, or would have at that time. You know, they would have easily taken that, because RoboCop is not something that works in a kids-friendly environment.
You can't. Like, there's one point where
especially in a cartoon.
He's like talking and everything, and everybody's gone.
Yeah.
And he's being, da 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 da, and then he just goes, where'd everybody go? And it's just like, that's so far off the reservation when it comes to RoboCop, man. He's not fun. He's still humorous, but like in a
not intentional. It's not intentional. It's not jokey, because the thing that is funny is again is him playing it straight.
Yeah.
Because even before, and again, I love how all we're doing with this whole thing is just another reason for us to talk about the first RoboCop. That's the only reason we talk about these other shitty RoboCop properties.
Let's talk about...
No. But here's my point. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. It all really boils down to Weller's performance.
Yes.
And Weller understood to play Murphy. Even before Murphy is turned into RoboCop, he's not funny. He's trying to be cool. He's trying to do the trick with his
kind
gun
of a dork.
to be cool for his kid. Yeah, he's
Do you
kind
not
of a dork.
notice his interactions with Lewis and how he's like he's
Yeah.
just not real. He's awkward a little bit.
Yeah, and
He's got a loving wife and a
he's
loving
not
son.
he's not jokey, and in this
No.
show, he's super jokey.
Super jokey. Oh, never mind losing 90% of my body mass and just being in a shell now. And then, so there's this character named Minor, okay, which
Who's like the new?
I thought it was minor, and I thought it meant that she was like, a minor. And so when they show her in a bikini at the end of the episode, I'm like,
that's
why
her
the
name.
fuck is But just all of like, okay, so she turns into like, first of all, these pods start eating everybody, and that's like, you have a pod transform somebody into another person, and all you do is just color their face green.
Okay, so look,
Give me some imagination. Anyway,
Tyler, this is very. Yeah, go ahead. finish
so
up.
sorry. So she turns into like a pod person because
Yes.
he's trying to get her to be his queen, whatever. Because he won't take the hot blonde. Whatever.
That whole thing. Oh my.
What's
God.
going on with that?
Oh my
Right.
God, we'll get into that whole story.
What's her name?
Oh, something I can't remember. I didn't write
Who
it down.
cares?
I don't. Who cares about this?
Kudzu. Something
Something like that,
kudzu.
yeah.
Anyway,
Oh my God. Yeah.
so she, her fingers or nails or whatever, I don't know, but they come out like tentacles. And they come flying towards RoboCop, and he's got these.
Yeah. Is she just shooting seeds at him? What is she doing?
No. Before that, it's. They look like they're extensions of her hands, right? And he just slices them off.
No. The
Not caring.
The best part before all of that is as she's coming towards him, he goes, machetes. And they're just fucking machetes come out where his hands would be.
But then, about 5 seconds later, she does the same thing and somehow wraps all of them around him, and then causes him to have an electrical discharge.
I don't know.
And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about spooge.
But before that, he was making himself into a fucking airboat. So how is
Right? Oh no! I loved how the blonde was like, "There's only one way you can get there by a swamp boat."
We'll get there. I got notes, and I want to kind of.
Why did you go through all of them at once?
Oh, because I
Just
wanted to
go
talk
through all of
about
them.
each point.
I went through all of mine.
Well, my other question, because
We'll talk
I wanna,
as we
no,
go
I
through
want to
your
talk about
notes.
this
Yeah,
love
sounds
triangle
good. Yeah, keep going.
because I have a note. It says, does Maribou want to fuck Minor? Like, because so
He wants her to be his queen.
here's the funny thing about that. So RoboCop and Minor go into Suzu or Kazoo or whatever
the fuck
this
her name is.
blonde character's name is.
Who's a great grad school dropout or
She's
something.
she's got a little accent
a
because we're in
little
Louisiana.
bit
I'm cute. We're in the swamps.
Yep.
And so they're talking to her and everything.
I'm
and,
the sassy
and then
Southern
there's
belle.
a flower in there, and it
Yeah.
like flourishes at Minor. She goes, "Oh, it flourished for you. It never does that for me." Bah, 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 bah. So then they leave, and then she's like, first of all, the animation of this. So then the flower has a little face come out of it. Who is, by the way, Mulch, who we've already seen earlier in the episode. But, like, yeah, and then he grows out of it. But it's like, you fool. And, like, he taught, like, it's, this show is so, like, carnival cartoon
It's
voice acted.
Definitely, the people who made this show have made kids shows before. They've made kids cartoons
This is
before.
like a throwback.
They were not
like-
going, we need to make RoboCop into a kids show. They were saying, we're making a kids show and it happens to be RoboCop.
We've
been
already
doing
made
this
this
for
kid
decades.
show.
We know what the kids like.
But we don't think the property's strong enough. What do
The
we
villain
have?
should
Oh,
have a name like, or should have a
RoboCop.
voice like,
People know what RoboCop
Yes.
is. We got a license. We'll throw it on there.
It's the villain. He's
Um,
got to have a voice like Schneidley Whiplash.
Yeah, but the fucking then he just straight up abuses this woman and just
Oh,
calls
yeah.
her stupid multiple times. And then
It's
the
totally
end of their
abusive.
arc is her staying with him even though he turned into a horrifying looking
Yes,
tree.
yes. and tossed her off so that he could have the other girl.
Who he wants to fuck this random woman they just met. Like the first woman that comes to the swamps, he's like, I need to fuck that. immediately.
Yes.
And she goes back to him. So that's a little that bothers me.
Oh,
like,
that's abusive.
what kind of messaging is that?
all
Yeah.
over there.
Also, Marabou wants to make plant slaves, so he wants to make people into plants and then make them subservient to him.
Again, the first.
Well, it's just evil guy does evil things.
Right,
That's all it is.
but the main thing is like at the beginning of the episode, these pods swallow up Miner, and then they swallow up the
where
three
he's, by the
dark
way,
agents. What
one
is
of
it?
the best
The Department of Revenge and what? Chaos?
It's like dark.
Dark.
Yeah, it's just called dark.
No, but it's an
it's-
anagram.
It's
Department
like
of
the 80s. Yeah, you're right. Something like that. Well, the fucking when she gets swallowed up in this like sinkhole thing in the ground, this tornado sinkhole thing.
Yeah, let's use the trimmer.
Oh,
She might be in there.
Dude, this is where I know this was not a fucking RoboCop show. He's Go-Go Gadget RoboCop.
Yes.
The whole and this isn't the first time.
A lawnmower all of a sudden.
That's his whole fucking
That's his gimmick.
thing.
That's his
this
thing.
whole show.
Yes.
But that's another thing that makes me laugh. Just like the show we watched last week, just like this one, probably even another animated show, maybe even Prime Directive.
It's never gonna end.
RoboCop is a
RoboCopalooza
better
is forever.
Now listen, RoboCop is a better cop on the shows because he doesn't kill anybody and he actually arrests them. Where in the movies, he kills them all the time, which again proves the point that they don't know what the fuck RoboCop is because RoboCop is anti-police militarization, anti-over-policing, all this other stuff. And then this show is like, no, he's actually a really good cop.
Who happens to be a giant cybernetic humanoid.
Yes, but clearly this was a different character. And they want to do something like there's this robot character that changes parts, but then like we have this robot.
We have this
RoboCop
license. Yeah.
And yeah, dude. Oh my god. Okay, I want to keep going with that because that scene where she gets swapped and it goes, murder. It's like the loudest thing.
The first thing I think is that there's all this overgrowth that comes up above this thing of dirt that she gets swallowed into, and he doesn't know where she's at. But his first thought is, I'm going to turn my hands into lawnmowers and just through this underbrush, not knowing if she's in there, and I'm cutting her up as I try. You know what I mean?
Which if this were an adult,
And then he makes a perfect crop circle in the fucking grass.
murder.
No, but finally these guys and Miner all come out of these pods, and I'm expecting some serious shit. Cause what's his name? Mulch.
Well,
Mulch is a bad looking dude, right?
Remember before that we had holy shit Robo Airboat.
That's
on the way
fair.
there.
But I started a point a little bit ago. I want to finish it. If you're going to have somebody transform, right?
Yeah.
When they finally come out, they're the same animated characters with green colored skin.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
it.
easier to reuse the assets
Whatever.
and just change the color.
Whatever.
I'm sure.
Whatever.
I'm sure that's what there was the reason
So
for
you're
that.
defending this piece of shit?
No, I'm just saying that's what I guarantee you that's what they did for cost. But you're right. It's lazy. If you're gonna do it, go for it. But again, animation's hard. I'm not saying
Animation's hard.
Well, no, it is.
It is.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying
No,
I know
is.
how to do
is.
it.
is.
But
No, me neither.
But it is kind of like you're building it up to be this thing, and you're just flipping an asset. Is all you're doing. But
Yeah, the airboat. Let's talk.
that also was. I don't know if this was intentionally meant to be funny, but I fucking cackled when she comes out of the pod transformed, and he goes, "Miner, are you all right?" And she just goes, "Rah!" like that. I was like,
That's all she does. Like the whole time.
I laughed.
They'll show a close up of her face, and you think she's gonna say something, and she goes, "Bleh."
Again, if that was intentional, genius. If it wasn't, even better because that was so fucking good.
Dude, the whole
Marabou will mulch is becoming a tree, and then eventually does. By the way, he gets referred to not as a redwood, but as a dogwood because he's in the doghouse. I still love him, even though he abused me. And I think this is a weird message to send.
Oh, I
to
thought
kids.
they made him a dogwood because he was a dog and he wanted to fuck anything that moves.
Oh, wow. That's one way to read it against. Oh, yeah, again, as Miner
So
was she just shooting seeds at him? That's what it looked like.
Yeah, that's stupid. And then she gets the sprinklers to go
Some
off by
quotes.
shooting seeds at them.
Tyler, some quotes that I really thought
Thank
stuck
you.
out to
Oh,
me.
I can't wait.
In the final fight, Mulch refers to RoboCop as, quote, humanoid trash compactor.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Plants are coming around. This overgrowth is coming around. Big mulch is there, and all these things are coming out. and RoboCop says, "Time to mow and blow." And he takes his hand. One hand is a lawnmower. The other hand is a fucking leaf blower.
Like a whole lawnmower.
Well, it was like blades, I think.
Okay. I'm saying, where does he keep this mass on his body that he can just transform into all these different things? Gotta be.
Also, at the end, so we got fucking rollerblades twice in this episode.
I am roller skates. No,
the airboat.
I know they're rollerblades,
skates.
but I'm calling them roller skates.
Rollerblades.
Okay, I know they're inline skates, but they're roller skates. Okay,
Yeah.
Just because that's lame and fucking RoboCop should not have roller skates. No, here's the part about the airboat that killed me was she was like, "You can't get there only one way. You got to have a thing, and we don't." And he was like, "Oh, no problem." And then he turns into an airboat, right?
Yeah.
And then they drive. They get on the water and go there. And at no point do you see how difficult it wouldn't have been with just a fucking boat, like a regular boat. Hey, you got a fucking log that we can straddle and take down the river?
At that point, if RoboCop should have just laid flat and she just could have stood on
You know
it.
what I mean? Like, what do you mean? There's only one way. You got to have a special kind of boat that floats. Yeah, most of them do, sweetheart. She was a grade school dropout or whatever, I guess.
Time to mow and blow.
Oh, my God.
But rollerblades twice.
Yeah, good God.
Well, one time, the fact that he just had a fan on his back again.
Yes.
And he used the
propelling
rollerblades.
himself.
And then at the end,
this is great exercise.
All this stuff is getting destroyed, and he needs to get out in a hurry. And he still uses the rollerblades first, and then uses a jetpack. Why not start with the jetpack, RoboCop?
Because you got to build tension somehow.
And then he said he needed tape dispenser and made tape. Remember that? Did you remember? By the way, his big way to stop get Miner back.
Yeah.
Was
didn't they just dunk her in a tank of water?
At the end, yeah. Well, the special suppressant thing that the doctor was using. But it was like this, it looked like a big piece of carpet almost. And he took it and grabbed it and wrapped her up.
Yes.
And then rolled her down and then goes, tape dispenser, and puts a piece of tape over it.
She was kind of watching.
And then drops her in the tank.
I was kind of watching. Your wife play the game.
Yeah.
And I had it turned way down so I could just watch it. And so I remember looking down at one point and being like, why is he playing with sod? Like he's got a big roll of sod. What's that?
Yeah.
And why is it wrapped with twine? I didn't see the tape dispenser. I'm sorry about that. It sucks.
It was amazing.
Oh,
it kind of blew my mind how this episode ends. So the episode ends with the villain being like, you're like, hey, you're getting stiffer. Like,
can we talk about the origin and how there's absolutely no safety oversight at that plant?
So he works at.
It's in deregulated Detroit.
His stereotypical origin is he slips and falls into a vat of something, and it just turns him into this plant thing.
But there are these
he
giant high walkways with like these terrible fucking.
And then this one cord that he trips over.
One cord.
And he, I kid you not, just nosedives. Like there's no emotion to that character. Just punk right into the water. Like nothing. Like a lawn dart. And then it's just like we just have to accept like, oh yep, that makes sense. Toxic waste.
You know, he goes in head first so perfectly that if there had been swimming judges around or diving judges, there were tens. That was great. And then, no splash at all.
And then
you suck.
So his whole thing is he keeps using this suppressant thing to stop him from turning into a tree, essentially. But then he took too long between doses, and RoboCop is like,
I've been there.
I could try and save you.
Taking too long between doses.
Yeah, it happens. Macro. So then RoboCop is like, hey, we can still try and save you. There's still time. And then it's like, no, it isn't, because then he just immediately turns into the tree and has that horrifying face on it. And then for whatever
they
reason,
show it later.
This girl who we've been with this whole episode being like, I don't know if I should be with him. And RoboCop even being like, you shouldn't be with that fucking guy. He's abusive. He's a villain.
Yeah.
You know.
Classic.
And the show still ends with her to take care of him as a tree. And I'm like, it's pretty fucked up.
But first she talks about going back to school and being a real Alpha Commando.
Of course. Here's our business card.
You think so? We know so. Yeah. The best part about him is that he's a fucking business card dispenser in his wrist.
Yeah.
beep. There you go.
I just love how
maybe I can win a free weeks of sandwiches for me and everybody in the office. Boop.
Do you like how RoboCop is unironically being used as propaganda to children? Unbelievable. It's like that's what makes me laugh so hard about this, right? Because it's
just drop your business card in for a chance to win lunch for you and all your work buddies.
Dude, for me, okay.
That sounds good.
Is this like? Am I going to like honestly critique this thing in a serious manner? No, it's a kids show from the '90s, but I know I just want to
everything was transforming.
Here's the thing I want to base it on. I don't think it's terrible. I think if I were to, if this was if I'd actually watched this when it came out, because I was a kid at that time, I probably would have liked it. But
yeah, you watched the card
but being someone who because to me on principle, it's like this is just insane that you took such an adult-oriented franchise and trying to market it to children, and it's just not RoboCop. It is so clearly something else, and they thought we've got to get their parents to, stop on it and be like, "Oh, RoboCop,"
yeah,
or something. Because how else is a kid gonna fucking know about? If they have a good parent, they're not gonna know about RoboCop because that's a hard R-rated movie.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny that these things exist because it's such against what RoboCop is.
And the other thing too, I've when I got older, and there was a way to watch the G.I. Joe cartoons from when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, and the Transformers. They had this really cool. It was season 3 of the Transformers, but they had a lot of the newer toys in the show, and they had the resurrection of Optimus Prime 3-part. Arc in the cartoon, and at the time we were just in it was the first new Transformers shows that we had seen in 3 years.
Yeah,
and we're just oh my god, this is so awesome. They're recognizing the movie. They're saying they're talking it exists, all this other stuff. Because at one point the cartoon decided to say we're making the time jump with the movie. So then the whole show, instead of being the Generation 1, was all Cup and all those guys in the future, whatever. And it was out of control, terrible animation. And the thing is, when I finally got a chance to watch those again as an adult, I was like, oh, this will be awesome, right?
Yeah.
Dude, those cartoons suck. They are bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing, too.
They're not good.
That's the thing, too. When
I was a kid, they were good.
I hold the 90s Spider-Man cartoon in high regard because I watched it as a kid.
Have you watched it since?
It's not good. No. The Incredible Hulk show from the 90s. Actually kind of fun. But no, because what I like to do is go through and kind of just see what they have for older animation, because it's are these some of these that I could get my kid interested in? Are they older, but they still, I think, have a modern enough sensibility, and a lot of them don't.
So I've talked many times on the show about Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah,
okay,
terrible cartoon.
See, you would think that. But that is one of the few cartoons from my childhood that I can watch now and be like, awesome. Just awesome. Yes. I am this close to recreating the 7 Little Superheroes episode in Lego minifigures, God damn it, and I will do it.
Oh, man.
I will do it.
Jeez.
I need a chameleon. I need a Shauna, She-Devil.
Jeez. While we're talking about animated...
And an Iceman.
Animated properties. Alpha Commando. Again, I feel like they should have just taken a risk and made it its own thing. Because the RoboCop thing really holds it back.
It's not how entertainment works, unfortly. Instead of somebody bought a property from a guy for $10,000.
It was a futuristic cop show.
I'll buy it for you I'll buy it from you for $10,000, and then they were like, "Oh, by the way, we have the RoboCop license. Cool. That guy's out. I already bought his shit." So we're just going to turn it into a multi-million-dollar, and I'm sure there was a lawsuit, and I'm sure it got settled out of court, and the guy got his money anyway. Well, but his dream is dead and his idea is crushed.
Wow.
Why aren't we playing more soundboard?
Let's move it on. Let's just because it hurts my feelings because it's like
I'll eat your ass.
You keep it up, all right? As long as you pay me.
$1 million, bitch.
That's all I had. No, you pay me to eat your ass. So speaking of animation,
the way he says the B word is just so
bitch
angry.
You're just like,
yes.
That's
happy.
So yeah, let's wrap it up. I don't know. This is the situation I'm in. I'm enjoying doing this. But
do you want to keep watching episodes of the cartoon? Because it's not that long. They don't take that long.
Because Prime Directives is a commitment.
Right.
Because I think it's like a 4-part miniseries.
And is it like 2 hours each part?
I don't know how long.
It's on Amazon?
Yes.
Have we looked at it on Amazon?
We have, but we haven't. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We don't know.
Because I can look at it when I get
I
home.
want to be more on top of it. Because I do want to keep doing it. At some point, we will stop and move on. But I'm enjoying this too much. Because
It's an excuse to talk about the first RoboCop movie.
It really is.
Every week.
It really is. And try and show off our nerd creative. Like, see, we understand RoboCop. We're so smart.
Take a look at my face, dick.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.